This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. It is a new season, as ever, chosen by you, the iRacing community. And this season, you told us that you want to have a little bit of grand touring, multi-class action. And that is what we're going to be bringing you for the next 12 weeks here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. So hello and welcome to Okayama. And welcome to Friday Night Primetime, round number 1 of the iRacing Grand Touring Cup here, as we are currently under qualifying conditions. This, as I say, is a multi-class series, probably the first multi-class series racing that most drivers will do in their iRacing career. As you can see, we've got ourselves a total of 3 different car classes here. The Ford Mustang FR500S, the Volkswagen Jetta, and the Pontiac Solstice will all be doing battle here. You can see also that there's almost double the horsepower in the Ford Mustang over to the Volkswagen Jetta. The Jetta and the Solstice are very similar, but the weight ratio, the power to weight ratio will favour the Jetta, making that the second car class here over the course of this season. It's Will Vincent along with Jack Stiles standing in for Connery Manick, who can't be with us here today. But Jack, this track, it measures just over 2¼ miles in length. And we said off air, this is a track that can either be extremely fun or a bit of a parade.
Okayama is an interesting circuit, lots of quirks in it as well that can really challenge the drivers. It's really going to also pull apart the different classes that of course we have in this series. There's a lot of overtaking opportunities, a nice long straight for drafting to happen, especially in the slower classes with the Jetta and the Solstice, or the Solstice, sorry. And I think that's important because with these cars, overtaking can be difficult, so having that extra technique of the drafting was really going to play into the hands of some of the drivers who have the experience. But of course, with the slower classes as well, momentum is going to be what you need to get yourself through these corners. If you do not have momentum, then you are going to struggle, especially on the long straights.
Yeah, a hugely critical part of this racetrack is momentum. We so often talk about when we come here, but the key thing about today as well is the fact that it is mighty hot in terms of your track temperature. 48 degrees Celsius, 118 degrees Fahrenheit. And on top of that, Jack, there's some wind speeds of about 10 kilometers an hour. That will move these cars around the racetrack a little bit.
And probably not going to affect the Mustangs is that wind speed, but of course the slower cars, it definitely will. You do feel the crosswinds in the slower machinery in any form of racing, especially when it hasn't got much gutso to get up a hill, and that's also going to catch up some of the drivers as qualifying is currently underway. Currently got 2 minutes left in that one to set the grid. The grid is going to be important because if you're up at the front of the field, you have an advantage going onto that first lap because you can control the people behind you. Understeer is going to be very critical here today with this high track temperature, so having the control over the field is highly important in today's race.
Completely agree. As we can see, this track, as we say, measures just over 2¼ miles in length. This track hosted the 1994 and 1995 Pacific Grand Prix. Both of them were won by Michael Schumacher. It is a tough place, though, to get to as a racetrack. I remember seeing stories of taking 3 hours to get there from the nearest airport. But it still does have a following, of course, here on iRacing. It's one of those tracks, Jack, that many people start their iRacing careers on.
Of course, obviously, Okayama, as you implied there, Will, it's included in the base subscription, so everyone has access to this circuit. Everyone also will have access to this series because you get the Pontiac Solstice for free as well with your subscription. So it means that everyone has access to multiclass racing in this circuit, especially. It's one of the circuits which people know very best. I think I may have even taken my first race here at Okayama when I joined iRacing over 3 years ago, so that it's a circuit which for a lot of people holds a lot of history in their iRacing career.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, it's one of those things I never actually have raced here because I was one of the very old school of people to have owned the Laguna Seca and also the track of Lime Rock Park. But this track here, Jack, you talk about momentum, of course, it's got 2 big overtaking opportunities as well.
Yeah, obviously one of those is the hairpin, the end of the long straight which goes up the hill. That's going to be incredibly important for momentum coming out of turn number 4, because if you don't have the momentum, especially in the Pontiac, you're going to be very slow off the corner, really struggle to get yourself up the hill. Coming into turn 1 as well is going to be an interesting overtaking opportunity, because you can just throw it down the inside, lay it on the brakes as late as you possibly dare, and really screech those tyres going through that first corner.
Yeah, what we can do though at this time is get yourselves a look at your starting grid for this, the first round of Friday Night Primetime for this season. He says if he can find a way of getting there. We are. So let's have a look then through your field. We're going to show everything in one go here, and it'll be Jason Stevie there. Starting pole position, 1 minute 41.792 in that Ford Mustang. A quarter of a second ahead of Maxim Vunvich from Central Eastern Europe. Then we've got ourselves Dan Karakustinas in the 3rd place and Hunter Lodick in P number 4. 5th place will go to Stefan Overgaard. 6th place to Make Rogan. They are your forwards. Then your VW Jettas. We start off with Jakob Hansen. He's got himself pole position in class. Derek Neinhardt in the 2nd place. 3rd place will go to Steph Vinhoff. Tanner McCullough in the 4th position. Jamie Wilson in 5th. Joe Wills in 6th place. And Timu Toika in the 7th position. Over to your Pontiac class, and it is Ruku Alatalo leading the way. He is got himself pole position by almost 6 tenths of a second over his touring career. Yao Oliveira in 3rd place in class. 4th place, Daniel Aurel Munoz. Austin Walsh in 5th. Then Latana in 6th, and Anthony Catt in 7th place. 2 more drivers then rounding out your Pontiac class here today. And of course, these drivers are getting themselves to go racing for 25 minutes here today, and it's a rolling start, Jack, and that is a big difference to what we've seen over the last couple of seasons of Friday Night Primetime.
Yeah, rolling starts have a very different dynamic to starting a race to a standing start. Of course, standing start, it's very much, you've got to drop that clutch perfectly, you just got to go with, and it's all about reaction times. With the green flag drop on a rolling start, you have to have it down to a T. You can sometimes predict it and just about get it right as the grid starts to roll itself off behind that Porsche iRacing pace car. But getting a rolling start right can mean going into turn 1 in 1st position or going into turn 1 in 5th position. It's so important. If you go a quarter of a second late, you can really get it wrong. And of course, as you say, this is going to be, for a lot of people on iRacing, the introduction to multi-class racing. And this is where they learn the things like the rolling starts, the traffic management. And in these slower cars, it's so much easier to learn than jumping into the likes of the iRacing Le Mans series.
Yep, so the pace car any moment now will make that dart to the right-hand side. There it goes. Pace car on towards pit road. Good separation by each of our 3 classes. And of course, as the 24 hours of Le Mans is this weekend, what a way to get things started with some Grand Touring Cup action. Green flag in the air. 25 minutes worth of racing is underway as you got your Ford class heading themselves in towards turn number 1, followed quickly by your Jetta class and then your Pontiac class. They head themselves all into turn turn number 1. But the good thing to note is that most of your field, all of your field, through turn number 1, through turn number 2 without any issues. Side-by-side racing going on down in your VW Jetta class. It's got Jamie Wilson and Dennis Neidhart going early on at it, but Ricky Alatalo trying to build the lead up in terms of your Pontiac class. And as we have a look from the rear of him, actually, it looks as though that he's got himself a 2-car breakaway in class right now.
Yeah, so Riku looking as though Riku and Bose Korea first and second in that class, looking as though they've got themselves a good start. Good to get a breakaway in at this, try and break the draft of the drivers behind. Everyone's still fighting for those positions in the mid-pack of your Pontiac class. Jamie Wilson, as you said, I was expecting him a little bit further up the grid in qualifying in that number 9 machine, and he's managed to think to get around the outside, so he's going to move himself up into 4th in position in class, and he's done that at the hairpin at the end of the long straight, where I said that a good overtaking opportunity is present. So Jamie Wilson making up for probably a very poor qualifying, something that he wasn't expecting, but maybe just unfamiliarity with this Volkswagen Jetta, jumping into a car that he's not particularly used to.
Yeah, as we stay on board with Jamie Wilson then as he heads himself into the left-hander. Very complicated Mickey Mouse, they called it, section on the racetrack. But out front, completing lap number 1, you've got your overall race leader then. Crossing his start-finish line, that is Jason Stenny then. And he's got himself a bit of an advantage. Not 1 minute 37, that's just our graphics there. Just need to reset those. He has got himself an advantage over Maxim Brunick, and they work themselves in towards turn 3 and 4 once again.
So a 1.2 second lead that Jason Stenny has managed to extend out over the course of these opening 2 laps. A good chance for him as well, because he's managed to break away from the rest of the pack. The rest of your Mustang field all bunched up together from 2nd right down to 7th. And it's Maxim Buvenik who's leading that charge at the moment. And this is allowing Stenny to just break away even more. He's got another 2/10 in the opening section of this lap as the number 1 machine gets loose off the hairpin. This is going to allow Hunter Leidick a chance to get through in the hairpin. Drafting as they head themselves up to the straight. He's got to look to the outside, I think, because Maxime is going to cover the inside. He does indeed. Moving into the braking zone they go, and I think the number 1 machine has just about got that covered as they head themselves into the hairpin.
They have. Meanwhile, the battle going on for your leading class in your VW division. It's currently Jake Johansson leading the way, but Steph Vinoff then right behind as they hit themselves now down into that hairpin themselves. And Jake, this is that section of the racetrack where you can get a good run out of these 2 left-handers and then set yourself up for another overtaking opportunity. But Steph Vinoff not quite close enough as they work themselves through that section.
No, Veenhoff just trying to use that momentum, as you were saying. If you get a good run off of turn number 7 as we head into this very snaky section for the second time, you can get a good run. Maybe try and lob yourself around the outside or little move up the inside. Show your nose and force a gap open. It is always possible. And maybe that's something that Steph is trying to look at. Still early stages in this race. Just over 20 minutes remaining still to go. It's going to be interesting because, of course, the Mustangs as well will have to deal with traffic at some point during this event. The Jettas have probably not, because they are not much faster over the course of the lap than the Pontiacs, but it's still possible. At a shorter circuit later on in the season, it is possible to see lapping and traffic management from all 3 classes.
Yeah, as we go on board then with your 2nd place driver in your Pontiac class, and this is Nestorian Carrera, as he is about 4/10 of a second behind Rico Alatalo as they cross the start-finish line and head themselves down in towards turn number 1. Again, the right-hander that leads himself almost automatically into that very long sweeping turn number 2. And this is what we mean about momentum at this racetrack. It's a lot of medium-speed corners here. If you get one of them wrong, you can end up in a situation where you lose so much momentum and positions, especially, for example, there you can see the entirety of your VW class all together. Looking down to the inside, all comes Steph Veenhoff, but no, not going to be close enough. And actually what it does do, it gives the half opportunity, shall we say, for Dennis Neidhart then to make a move, but he's not close enough there in the number 16 car as he exit the double left-hander down this mini straightaway right now. But the number 17 car of Steph Veenhoff is under pressure as they complete what will be the 3rd lap, and already 5 minutes of this race is scored complete.
And Dennis Neinhardt, as you were saying, is looking racy, closing up to the back of the 17. Don't count out Jamie Wilson from this one. A very quick and capable driver for Team Chimera, sitting in the background in that number 9 car. But at the moment, Jake Johansson still controlling the field. And it's one of those things where he really does need to control it. If he can do it, he can indeed win this race. It was done by iRacing driver called Ben Palmer, currently racing in the Mini Challenge in the UK. His tactic at the weekend to win both races at Silverstone, get himself to the front and control the field. Dennis Neinhardt going to the inside as he heads into turn number 1. And not able to make a move on Steph Venhoff holding the position as they head themselves into 2 and 3.
Yeah, as we go on board with Neinhardt once again as they exit Williams corner. This is now going to be into the S corners, turns number 3 and 4 technically on this racetrack before you come down into, I mean, we can call it a carousel. Its official name is Atwood Curve, but as you say, we go on board and we stay on board with Neinhardt for the moment. Not quite close enough as they exit the Atwood Curve and on towards that long back straightaway. Just to let you know, in terms of your class, your Ford class, they are starting to spread out a little bit. So that's why we're keeping it with your Jetta class with just one moment as they head themselves down towards that big braking zone. No change to position there. So let's go back and have a look and see what's going on in your in your Pontiac class. The Solstice class, they have got themselves on board right now with Korea in the number 13 car as they come down in towards the hairpin, and he's not close enough over the number 2 of Rico Alatalo, who really does like having iRacing stickers on that back bumper. And
it just looks as though Rico Alatalo has lost a little bit of time to the guys behind. Sven Demel has been able to close the gap. A very quick and capable driver is Sven. He actually started stone dead last in this race, currently running 3rd in class, so he's managed to make his way through the field. Could be very good and a very good contender for the win in this race as they head themselves into this snaky section. 4th lap for these Pontiacs. And Sven's looking racy on the 13. I think Rico Alatalo's got his eyes on his mirrors, making sure that Sven isn't going to be making any sort of moves every now and then. He wants to try and leave it as late in the race, though, to Sven, to try and get himself into the lead, because the later he can get himself there, the less time which anyone has got to try and put a challenge.
Yeah, and you've got battles going on at the rear of that field as well. You've got Anthony Cat, of course, we see on Monday Night Skippies here on Racesport TV and on the iRacing Esports Network, closing up to the rear of Jelle Vesterten in the number 19 Club Benelux car as they come down in towards that first corner once again. Anthony Cat, though, not close enough. And this is the sort of speed that Anthony Cat will be used to running in Monday Night Skippies. Jack, the only difference is, of course, there's far much more downforce on the Skip Barber Formula 2000s than what you get here. It's actually going back up. We've got battle going on all the way through your field. Here's the battle for the race lead then in terms of your V Jetta class as they head themselves then through the left-hander. This is Jake Johansson from Club New England trying to make the moves. They come in towards the left-hander. Got close, Jack, but not quite close enough.
And that lead has actually changed on this lap. Jake Johansson has dropped back to 2nd position. Looks as though Steph Venhoff has been able to make a move. A little bit of contact from behind. I think that was Dennis Neinhardt just running into the back of the number 12 machine, getting close again. Jamie Wilson, Tanner McCulloch and Joe Wells still sitting there. So the whole of the VW pack all separated by just over 2 seconds. A really competitive race in this one. Of course, the VW, very much a driver's car. Not much you can do on this car in setup and in the way of a setup. And of course, it is quite literally just a road car with a roll cage. There's not much more been done to this car to turn it into a race car.
Yeah, keep an eye out as well on Hunter Leideck, who's currently 3rd place in your Ford Mustang class. Gets a very good run actually then out of the carousel, and this will give himself the opportunity to try and make the move into the hairpin, but just doesn't have the momentum as they get towards the braking zone. You see the lights there coming on the back of the Ford of Maxime, but actually Maxime pushes wide there. Leideck can't get past just because the way the track, of course, will move itself to the left afterwards. But this battle going on, 2nd, 3rd place has allowed your overall race leader, that is Jason Sterney, to just start putting away. That gap now between P1 and P2 overall, Jack, is 3.6 seconds.
And Jason also having the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 42.1. It's about a tenth quicker than what anyone is managing. Last time around, he was 1.3 seconds quicker than both of your drivers in second and third position. But while these guys are having a good scrap, they've got to watch out from behind. Stefan Overgaard is slowly closing in. Last time around 8 tenths of a second quicker, and it looks as though the gap has come down even more. He's within a second of Hunter Leidig now. So for Hunter and Maxime, they need to be watching those rearview mirrors, making sure that Stefan doesn't close up the gap and start getting involved in this one.
Yeah, as we just work ourselves through the long sweeping right hander that comes towards the end of the lap. That is Hobbs corner, now into Mike Knight corner, and in towards the final curve they come now on this Okayama racetrack. So 10 minutes of this 25-minute race is all complete. The majority of races this season are going to be 25-minute races with the occasional 40-minute event. We go on board though with the huge ass car. This is Sven Demmel in the number 22 machine, of course. Huge ass we know him very well from our good friend and commentator David Haynes here on Racebot TV, but Sven Demmel's putting that pressure right now on Nestorian Carrillo, and this is the battle for second place in your Pontiac class.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the lap times last time around. They were all pretty much similar on lap times, and this time around it is very much the case again. The lap times are only split by about 3-4 tenths of a second between all three of your top three in this class. As they head towards the halfway stage of the race, they really need to start thinking about where they're going to be putting in moves. At the moment, Riku Alatalu still dominating the field, still controlling the pace of all three of these cars, and it looks as though the move that we're going to see more likely is going to be the move for second from Sven Demmel.
Yeah, Riku Alatalu is ahead, but if you're Sven Demmel, you want to get past cleanly over Nestorian Carrillo if you can possibly find a way of doing so. They work themselves then out of the carousel down towards a hairpin. This is a good run by Sven Demmel actually over Nestorian Carrillo in the number 13 machine. He's not going to though look to the right hand side just yet. Not able to use that draft, and I think actually Riku's pulling that 13 along with him on the racetrack. 13 moves down to the inside over Alatalu. That's way too far to go back, but Demmel then not able to capitalize as they work themselves then through the left-handers.
And Sven Demmel still looking. Correa did close up onto the back of Alatalu, as you saw, but Sven Demmel now putting the pressure onto the 13 as they head into turn number 8. To the outside, he will look. Can he get the cut back on the power? I don't think so. I don't think he's got enough room to do it. He's going to try and go to the outside again, but it's not going to work. Going to go to the inside line, the old switcheroo. Very good move to come out of 8 and 9. And it's one that has worked many a time for many drivers, but for Sven Demmel today, hasn't managed to pull off. He's looking to the inside again. It's not going to work. You really do need to carry that momentum. It might only be half a kilometre an hour that you need to be able to get past in one of these cars, Will, but it's that half a kilometre an hour more, which is always so difficult to find when you're really on the edge.
Yeah, there's your top three then in your Ford class. We head ourselves down in towards 1 again, and Sven Demmel not close enough. Let's go actually back to second, third place going on in your VW Jetta class, and that is going on between Jake Johansson and Dennis Neinhardt. We talked about this one earlier. The gap is 2 tenths per second right now, Jack, as they work themselves through the right-handers, then the double apex left-handers, down at Revolver, in towards Piper Corner, and it seems to be that Neidhart is again getting close, but not able to try and force a move down as they come in towards Redmond.
Yeah, and it's opening that gap as there is a little bit of contact between the two. Opening the gap is the challenge in any race car, and something which is even more challenging in this because you've got to trust when you get on the brakes. And getting on the brakes late in one of these, especially on brakes which are designed for a road car.
Trouble! Sorry, we just had ourselves there, the number 13 machine. The Nestorian Carrillo got turned around by the huge ass car, and this was down in towards a hairpin corner. We're seeing it live. Let's get ourselves another look at that. There's a lot of weaving going on, and I think, yeah, the huge ass car just caught the side of the number 13, spinning it around. So that will put Sven Demel up into the second place on track, but that is not the way I'm sure either driver would like that one to happen. Here's a replay on board of Sven Demel in the huge ass stick inside his machine as they come down in towards the hairpin, and Demel's up to second, but that was a bit of a dangerous one there, Jack.
It was the smallest of touches from Sven Demel to send that number 13 car around, and it did the job. And definitely probably isn't the way that Sven Demel wanted to get the move done. But he's got himself up into second position, now piling the pressure on Riku Alatalu for the lead as we enter the final 10 minutes of this race. Will, Sven's got a lot of work to do, and I have a feeling that the driver of Korea is not going to be happy.
More trouble then down in towards the hairpin. This is going on between the 9, the 12 and the 16 car. So this is Jamie Wilson, as well as Dennis Leinhardt and Jaekun Hansen. Dennis Leinhardt's come out the winner of this one, but they were going 3 wide in towards the hairpin. The replay coming up for you now, and what I want to do is turn our attention over to the driver of Jamie Wilson, because they can see the little tag as they work through the hairpin. Now in towards Revolver for turn number 7 on track, but Wilson almost ended up costing himself his race, but also that of Dennis Leinhardt as well.
Dennis Leinhardt did a very good job to control the car through the hairpin. It's always risky. You're going to go 3 wide into there because it narrows so much, and that actually left Jamie Wilson out to drive through the double left-hander, and it means that he has now lost quite a lot of time. He's dropped right back to be fighting with Tanner McCulloch and Joe Wells, currently holding him off at the moment, but it's allowed the 17 of Steph Wienhoff in the lead to really pull away.
We've got more issues. There's 3 of them turned around here. This is down in your Pontiac class. Second, third, and fourth place as lap traffic was coming into play. It's all kind of gone wrong then as the Ford Mustang traffic started coming into play. This involved Alison Walsh, I think also potentially Jan Oliveira, certainly number 20 machine got involved in that one. That was Daniel Ariel Munoz there that gets involved in that. It's just behind our cameras, but we can see the back end of that one. And you can see a lot of your Ford traffic there having to take evasive action at very short notice.
There was the tiniest bit of contact, I believe that was between the 18 and the 20. The 13 got involved, and it was then those 3 cars that were really blocking the road for the Ford traffic, which were then hitting the Pontiacs at that very point on the circuit. A good job by the Fords to be able to get themselves through, but an incident which I think could have quite easily been avoided. Just looks as though a little bit of spatial awareness could have been employed, and we wouldn't now have 3 cars which are running around the racetrack with quite substantial damage to the front end.
Yep, here comes a huge ass machine as Sven Demel. He's on the outside of Riku Alatalo as they come down in towards hairpin corner. It's going to be Sven Demel ahead on the outside line though as they come in towards the hairpin. Can he make it work? On the outside, the 2 stay side by side, contact between them as they come now into Revolver. Sven Demel moves himself to the race lead. The crazy racing car of Riku Alatalo falls down into second, but here he is. Coming back again is Riku Alatalo as they head themselves now into Redmond corner. Alatalo will have the inside line as they come in towards Redmond. He can just sweep alongside there and towards Hobbs, but now they will go back to the huge ass car of Sven Demel. Fantastic racing in your Pontiac field in towards Mike Knight corner, and Demel still has the inside line. He should now get clear into last corner, but Alatalo will have the opportunity to come back as they work towards turn number 1. What a fantastic 45 seconds worth of racing we just had. Sven Demel is your new race leader in your Pontiac field, but Alatalo's not giving up without a fight here, Jack.
Alatalo still looking to the outside as they head themselves through turn number 1. He's got to switch again to the outside for turn number 2. Demel really holding that inside line, blocking all the doors that he needs to, allowing himself to maybe get that little bit more momentum. I saw Alatalo having to jump on the brakes. He's going to look to the outside as they head through the Moss S, down towards Atwood Cove and the start of the long straight. A little bit of lap traffic and there's contact. between, I believe, that second place and Sven Demel. That's going to put him onto the outside. Rico Alatalo getting a good run off of the corner, and he's going to get himself back into the race lead of the class. And it's all down to Sven Demel now to try and fight back as they head down into the hairpin.
Yeah, we'll get ourselves a quick replay of this one if we can. This is on board with Sven Demel as he comes in towards the hairpin. You can see just pushing wide as a consequence. And then you're going to see Rico Alatalo going round the outside. So as Demel tries to tighten his line up there to avoid the lap traffic, Alatalo says thank you very much and goes back then to your Pontiac Solstice race lead. 5 minutes of this race to go. Your top 3 in your Ford Mustang field. It is Jason Stenny, Maxim Brunick, and then Hunter Leidig rounding out your podium. And it looks like Leidig is putting that pressure on Maxim Brunick right now.
And it does indeed look like that. And Leidig he's still there, he's still looking, and of course with 4 minutes to go, anything can happen in motor racing. It's not over until that checkered flag drops and you have crossed the finish line for one final time. But for Maxim Vivenic, he's looking pretty good up at the front of the field in second position, looking pretty strong, just dealing with the traffic. And I believe actually that's all the traffic dealt for these guys now, just they dealt with it on that previous lap.
Yeah, there's going to be 2 laps to go at the line. Just getting confirmation there. Going to be 2 laps to go at the line. Sven Demel will go back to him. He's right on the rear of Riku Alatalo as they head themselves on the exit of Williams, now in towards the Moss S once again. And thing to note here, Jack, is if you Demel, you got past in a very bold and gutsy move. What do you do now to try and outsight and outthink Riku Alatalo?
And I think that's what this is going to be about for Sven Demel. It's going to be when can he put the move in, because we know that Alatalo will not give it up that position. He will go for the win, whatever it costs, and he's proven that already because he's got himself back into the lead. Demel once again looking to the outside as they head down into the hairpin. Alatalo really sticking to the inside of the track. A little bit of contact, a little bit of door rubbing between the two, and I think Sven Demel might have the advantage as they head into the hairpin. More door banging as they hit the apex, and that's going to allow Alatalo to have a better run off the corner, and they're going to make contact again. Alatalo into the concrete wall on the inside, so the number 22 inheriting the lead, and it looks as though he might be slowing up to allow Alatalo to close that gap back down again. He's going to give the position back after that contact. So Sven Demel inheriting the lead, but deciding that it wasn't the best way to do it. But by doing this has brought Joao Oliveira in third position back into the race. All of a sudden, we've got a 3-way fight for the lead in your Pontiac class.
So we've been on board then and having a look as we can see that we've got ourselves about 2 minutes worth of racing to go, and just keeping an eye out there on Jamie Wilson in terms of your VW Jetta field. He's been able to get himself then up into 4th place, but no further. We'll keep an eye out, of course, on Rico Alatalo and Sven Demel. They're actually going to go back at it again here, Jack, as they head themselves down in towards the hairpin. On the outside line is Sven Demel as they come in towards the hairpin. Going to set a really wide outside line. He'll give them the inside line into Revolver right now. And again, it looks as though Sven Demel's going to force the issue. The two make contact again. Alatalo will go wide. These have got to be careful now about their incident counts as well, as again Alatalo's almost going to run into the grass, but Alatalo will keep the position.
And there's just one more lap remaining after this one for these guys. There's a side who's going to stand on the top step of the podium. Demel once again to the inside. He will go heading into Redman, into Hobbs though. The outside line is not where you want to be. You want to be having that inside line. Joao Oliveira is just sitting behind, waiting for something to happen between the two as they head themselves into Mike Knight corner in the last corner for the penultimate time. Sven Demmel's still there. This is the lap where he has to get it done. If he can be leading into that final section, he's pretty much got himself onto the top step of the podium. Down to turn 1 they will go, and the white flag will fly for one final lap of the Okayama International Circuit. Demmel looking to the outside. Alatalu's going to have the inside, and I think it's advantage Alatalu for now.
Yeah, but keep an eye out on the gaps, just to let you know. These drivers might just have to do one more lap. The reason why I say that, here is your overall race leader. Actually, no, that shouldn't be an issue at all. I take that one back entirely, because there is Jason Stinney, and you can see the white flag is out. This is the last lap of this race right now, and Jason Stinney has the lead by 3.2 seconds over Maxime Brunick. Hunter Lydek in third place. And we say your class has been kind of quiet in your VW Jetta field here today. It is still Steph Wienhoff leading the way over Dennis Leinhardt, but here comes Jason Stinney as he now works himself through Mike Knight corner for the final time in this event. It's showing quadruple zeros on the timing monitor, the final lap, and it is going to be the race victory for Jason Stinney overall here today. He is going to be your winner, and of course that also means he's going to be your Ford Mustang winner as well. We want to go back though to this battle going on, race lead in your Pontiac field. The huge ass number 22's car looks down to the inside, can't do anything just yet, but now they've got a couple of corners to go. It's showing Sven is being a winner. Not going to preempt that one too much, but here we are on board is Sven Demmel, and it's going to be a run to the line as it stands, but Rico Alatalo has got that move covered in towards the final corner. Sven Demmel is not going to be able to get himself the race lead by the looks of it. It looks like it's going to be Rico Alatalo. Glacier Racing claiming victory in class.
And a brilliant drive from Riku Alatalu all the way through. Sven Demmel just didn't have that quite bit of pace that he needed on the final lap, and it did show. Still one more class still to cross the line as Stefan Hoff heads himself out of the final corner. He's going to win your VW Jetta class by just over a second from the driver of Dennis Neidhart. To start off with, this class was running line astern. And I think a little bit of argy-bargy. Split them all up side by side across the line between the 12 and the 14. And Jake Johansson just gets third position in that class.
Yep, so what we can do now, ladies and gentlemen, as all your field have almost crossed the start-finish line, let's run yourself through your final race results here from the first round of the Grand Touring Cup here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. In terms of your Ford Mustang field, Jason Stinney wins out by 3.6 seconds over Maxime Brunick. Hunter Lydek in third place. Fourth place will go to Stefan Overgaard. Fifth place to Dan Karakustinas. And then Timo Toika in sixth place, Make Rogan, rounding out your 7-car field. Notes that Jason Stinney, 3.3 seconds over Maxime Brunick. Very close between second and third. Well, then a big gap to fourth and beyond. Over to your Volkswagen Jetta division. And it is Steph Wienhoff who claims victory by 1 second over Dennis Leinhardt. Further 3 seconds back down the road is Jake Johansson. We talked a lot about him here today. He was, let's get this right, he was 31/1000ths of a second ahead of Tanner McCall. Then, as they cross the start-finish line, Jamie Wilson, 5th place, and Joe Wells rounds out your class of drivers. Then, on to your Pontiac Solstice field. Rico Alatalo claims victory by 1/4 of a second over Sven Demmel. Very close between them at the end of that one. Yao Oliveira in 3rd place. Yeli Verstanen in 4th place. Anthony Cat 5th. Dan Lantham 6th, Daniel Araya Munoz in 7th, Historian Korea in 8th, and Oysan Walsh rounds out your field. Well, good first race here in the Grand Touring Cup, Jack. And well, this series, as I said, it's a mixture of 25 and 40-minute races, but the 25-minute sprint field talking about momentum, you can't put a foot wrong.
And of course, obviously, next week we head ourselves to the Nürburgring, a circuit where really momentum is going to be important, especially in the lower powered cars along the long straights. The Nordschleife is a very difficult circuit. 3 laps of that circuit and some other circuits which we'll be visiting. Silverstone Grand Prix later on this season, new to iRacing for 2019 season 3. Of course, obviously the new layout which was scanned last year just after the resurfacing took place, I believe. And also a circuit which isn't usually used on road course schedules, Will, which I think is going to be interesting. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, a circuit which in oval racing has a lot of history. In road racing, not so much.
Yeah, but it's a very unique roval layout they've got on New Hampshire Motor Speedway. They go outside the track for a large part rather than trying to fit everything on the inside. That's mainly because New Hampshire Motor Speedway is only just over a mile in length, and trying to fit a full road course and that would almost be impossible. It's worth noting that we've also got Watkins Glen, Laguna Seca, Silverstone, Road Atlanta, Mid-Ohio, Scuba, Brandt Hatch, VIR, and Barber for our season. But next time out, we're going to head ourselves to the Nürburgring, to the Nordschleife. That'll be in 1 week's time here on Racesport TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. But in the meanwhile, thank you to Isvan Bala, trackcams22.com, as well as to our friends over at Aptioneer.in, ATV over, Overlay Design, and Nick Thisson for Racesport TV, live timing and scoring. He's been Jack Stiles, Ivan Will Vincent. Good night from Okayama International Circuit, and congratulations to Jason Stenny, to Stefan Hoff, and Rico Anatalo. Round number 1 winners.